Hey everybody, welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm looking at a very cool little app called Loadker that I guess probably quite a few of you haven't heard of. And as you can maybe guess by the fact that it's full screen, it is not an audio unit, but at least it has inter-app audio connectivity. So I have it loaded here in AUM. Now, in a minute I'm going to talk about how it works. First, let me just play through the kind of things that it can do. So just starting with a simple little kick sound, and we can have that very regular 4 in the floor type thing, or we can get it a bit more chaotic. Okay. Now here I have a little sample loaded, or we can use the internal synth and get a hi-hat sound, which is pretty nice. Now we can do things to play around with reverb and delay and so on. And then under that we have a couple of FX slots where we can use internal FX sounds produced by the synth, or we can load our own samples again. So here I've got a little vocal sample. We can do all kinds of changes with the timing and the pitch and so on. Anybody recognize this voice? Any idea?
Привет, я Хань.
Maybe now? Write in the comments section.
Привет, я.
Okay.
Привет, я. 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 Привет. Привет.
Okay, now
Привет.
let's go through a bit more systematically and see what is what here. And I'm just going to keep on the kick and the hi-hat sound. Take down the delay and reverb on that. I'm going to take down the chaos level a little bit on the kick. So first of all, we use this button to turn sounds on and off. Here we have a few tabs. This is called the performance tab, where we can do things like change how regular the sound is. Now, exactly what this slider does will depend on the setting here. If this is free, it's just going to be super chaotic all the time. If we put it on pattern, it will get chaotic, but from time to time. So it's going to have some more regularity with kind of like fills of chaos, just like drum fills in the Lumbeat apps or whatever. Okay, so that pattern mode is quite a useful one actually. Now let's just bring the chaos level down a little bit there. Here we have things like the cutoff for the filter and the resonance for the filter. Okay, reverb, delay. Okay, now here is where we switch between the synth produced kick sound and any samples, but we don't have a sample loaded. This is where we load samples. You can see the sample is empty. So if I put this in that sample on the sample tab, there won't be any sound on this one. So let's put it back to the synth engine. So, okay, we have things like we can control the volume, the start pitch and end pitch. So we can get exactly the kind of kick sound that we need. We can add noise here. That's really nice, right? Okay, we can control the attack and sustain. So we can get sort of very glitchy things. Okay. So here is where we can load our sample and change the pitch and so on of our sample. That won't do anything because no sample is loaded. Here we change filter types. Now, over here, quite frankly, I have no idea. It's something about recording patterns, but it's not in the manual and I haven't figured it out. So yeah, I messaged the developer and told him there are a couple of things missing from the manual. So hopefully we'll get a slightly more updated manual. Okay, let's go down to the hi-hat sound. And so again, here we can select the actual hi-hat produced by the synth. And we can play again with the order and chaos. Now you can see that when I drag the slider, it didn't change immediately. That's a very, very good feature. It'll basically do a 4-bar pattern before it introduces any of the changes. So that is going to sound a lot better in live performance. You can adjust it, but the adjustment will not actually happen until a regular interval has passed. It makes it more musical. Really good feature. Again, you know, things related to the filter. And okay, here are different things we can affect the sound of the sound produced by the synth, attack and sustain and so on. I find though these, again, this is something that's missing from the manual. What does this 1, 2, 3 and this face do? I find that if I adjust these, sometimes I don't get any response. And when I play around with these, then I can kind of get it working, but it isn't very predictable the way it works, so I'm not going to mess around with that for the moment. But let's look at this sample part. So we can control the gain. Obviously that's not doing anything because the sample's not playing, so let's put on the sample. Okay. So here we control the level. This is where we load our samples so we can import. These are ones that have already been imported. If I press import here, it's not going to do anything because you have to stop the app to do importing, which is a pity. It would be really nice if you could do that on the fly in the middle of a session. I would really like to see that being changed. Now we can change the pitch. But obviously, you've got to be very careful with that. Okay. Again, we have the free and pattern thing here. We can play around with these. See if we can come up with something musical. Gonna leave them off for now. Okay, so again, in these effects, we can use internal sounds. Or we can load our own samples. And again, we can turn things on and off here. And so that's something that you can play around with to make your performance more interesting. Now these timing changes can be fun. And if we bring the sustain down here, we can get very kind of rhythmic things. So we can have quite a lot of fun playing around with the attack, sustain, and pitch. And then all the different combinations we can get of that with these different time changes. Not to mention the order and chaos knob. Sorry to turn you into a pig here. You reckon to guess who that is yet? This is Heinbach, believe it or not. From his Polyvlogs, I think, sound pack. Heinbach, as you've never heard him before. So if we have the sustain down low, we're not going to really hear many of those phrases getting a chance to end. There we go.
Привет, я Хайнбах.
Привет, я.
Привет, я Хайнбах.
Привет, я.
Okay, there we go. That's reasonably normal now, right? So you need to be careful here. You can't just choose anything like that 28 didn't sound good, you know? Much better with a 32 or a 16 or whatever. As you can see, I mean, this is quite hard to play. You know, you've got to really treat this like an instrument, I think, and spend quite a lot of time with it, which I have just not had time to do. You know, if you really want to do a live performance with this, you're going to have to rehearse a lot. You know, you need to treat it the way, you know, a hip-hop guy or whatever doing, you know, different scratching and all that sort of stuff would do it. You know, you've got your basic sounds, but then you're really going to have to play around with what's going to work and do a lot of practice, experiment with different things. A lot of what you do is going to sound like shit, and then you're going to get something that sounds really good. So that, I mean, that's part of the fun. Like the first day that I got this, I just sat around noodling with it for a couple of hours, completely engrossed, just, you know, with a couple of sounds, just seeing all the different kind of permutations. It's really a lot of fun. So let me see, is there anything that I haven't covered here? Don't think so, really. We've got Ableton Link up here. So if you want to get it to play properly with AUM, you're going to have to go in and turn on your sync start and stop and stuff like that. So we can use the AUM transport. And of course, then we can add other things onto it. Let's see what we could get here. I mean, it's a bit weird to put chorus in all of this, but why not stick on that deep texture preset that I talked about in my recent tutorial video for this chorus. A bunch of really cool things in there. crazy with a bit of Saturn too. So yeah, really, this app is a lot of fun. I do recommend it. So, enjoy guys. See you in the next video.